we've got one of the biggest events on the planet. The 31st running of the day-long festival that is the Nürburgring 24-hour race. So sit back and enjoy a ringside seat along with 200,000 fanatical fans.
Germany's Eiffel Mountains once again play host to the Nürburgring 24 hours, run on the famous Nordschleife forest circuit, the 26-kilometre, 120-corner green hell, in front of almost 200,000 spectators. Open to sports cars and touring cars, this is the 31st edition of a race which started in 1972 on a track little changed since it was built 76 years ago around the little town of Adenau, into which this year's fans crowd on the eve of the race for the drivers' parade. This is Germany's answer to the Le Mans 24 Hours, the only European race which attracts more spectators. Among drivers is Opel Motorsports chief Volker Stritschek, who's driving himself, and racing legend Hans Stuck.
Das Publikum draußen an der Rennstrecke begeistert schon.
It's a great show, says Stritschek, especially with all the fans along the streets. The Adenau show has become a tradition of this race, and for Opel, of course, it's good because we have so many supporters. And Hans Stuck tells us it's all part of the event. It may not be too comfortable to sit in the car in this heat, but it's important for the fans. They can meet the drivers, unlike in Formula One, where they're ghost figures. People like to touch the cars, have contact with us. It's good fun. The street party ends of a drive past by some of the 210 cars, which will take the start tomorrow afternoon. More than 20 nations are represented. Even American NASCAR star Boris Said is racing. Never have there been so many favourites for the 24 hours. Factory teams from BMW, Audi and Opel are here this year to try to end Zakspeed's two-year domination of the race of its Viper, both times driven by Peter Zakowski, Pedro Lamy and Robert Lechner. BMW has two 460 brake horsepower V8 M3 GTRs, shared by Dirk and Jörg Müller, Stuck, Seid, John Nielsen, Mark Duez and Claudio Hurtgen. The crack Schnitzer tuning squad is running the cars under team boss Charlie Lamb, who gave BMW many of its 16 Nürburgring and 21 Spa 24-hour wins, as well as the 1999 Le Mans 24 Hours. Well, Lamb tells us our BMWs will be among the fastest cars here, so it is important for us to choose drivers who know both the car and the Nordschleife well. They also need to be people who can make the right decision on heavy traffic. I believe we have the right team to handle those challenges. Both Audi and Opel run in the German long-distance endurance cup, of which the 24 hours is a part, but not BMW. So the Bavarian factories had to run a heavy test program to prepare its M3 GTRs, last seen in the American Le Mans series where they won the 2001 GT title. Zakspeed, on the other hand, knows how to win here, 3 times in the past 4 years, and the Chrysler Viper with its 7-litre V10 has been both fast and bulletproof on the way to victory the past 2 years. Christened the Yellow Snake by the fans, it will be handicapped by a 30-litre fuel tank reduction, requiring more pit stops. Zakspeed's answer has been to enter it as a Dodge Viper, its American name, to try to avoid the penalty. Robert Lechner tells us in theory we might have to make more stops, and the new cars here are really quick. Well, let's put it this way, our car's reliable and it's better developed. It may be about tactics. Do we try to keep up with them, or do we make our own race as we've done the last 2 years and just see what happens? Well, qualifying hasn't been so smooth for the Porsche teams, several of which have factory assistance. Top of these is Manti Racing, several times Porsche Super Cup champion and long-distance champion. The Nürburgring 24 Hours has continued to elude Olaf Manti. This year he's opted for a more powerful 600 brake horsepower turbo motor, which carries a penalty of increased weight. Porsche factory drivers Lucas Luhr, Timo Bernhardt and Emmanuel Collard are at the wheel. If you stick to the old ways, you'll never move forward, says Manti. So you have to take some risks if you want to stay up at the front and maybe claim the win. That's what we've been working towards, and I think the solution we found with the turbo motor is the best one.
Ich denke mal, die Lösung, die wir jetzt gewählt haben mit dem Turbomotor, ist sicherlich die bessere dazu.
But even more outrageous is Jürgen Alzen's 996 twin turbo, which is giving 700 horsepower. Runners up the past 2 years, the Alzen brothers are determined to win in 2003. Uwe Alzen tells us the car's almost 2 meters wide and it has a giant spoiler to keep it on the road. We may lose some top speed on the straights, but we'll make up for that in the turns. But the engine is built by RS Tuning. The car really pushes and we've taken pole. Well, the Alzens share the car with Uwe's Opel DTM teammate Michael Bartels and with Arno Klaassen. The Opel factory has sent 2 of its DTM cars, 500 brake horsepower Astra V8 coupes, to go for gold. Experienced endurance racer Stritchek heads the squad, which includes DTM drivers Manuel Reuter, Timo Scheider, Marcel Thiemann, Peter Dumbreck and Jeroen Bleekemolen. If Audi is as successful as it was in the 2003 DTM, the AB Sportsline factory team of Wendlinger, Christian Ab, Matthias Ekstrom and Frank Fieler should also start. With 210 cars on the starting grid, the ADAC has to start the field in 3 blocks of 70 cars. No road race in the world starts so many. Well, behind Alzen's pole Porsche twin turbo with a 9-minute dead lap is the Manti 996 and Stritchek's Opel, the Zack-Speed Viper, the first of the factory BMWs, then Reuter's Opel. The Müller BMW is 5th from the 2 factory Audis, the privateer M3 BMW of Schied, Kanz and Merton, and then Godzilla, the legendary Falcon Nissan Skyline GTR, making its 5th and final start at the ring. 3 o'clock Saturday in front of 194,000 spectators in 34-degree heat for 24 hours is underway. Ahead of them are more than 140 laps of the world's most challenging race circuit, built by Adolf Hitler in 1926. With Alzen's 700 brake horsepower is already taking him clear of the Manti Porsche. On board with Jörg Müller in the BMW M3 GTR, ahead of the yellow Opels and Viper. Each lap combines the modern Grand Prix circuit with the ancient Nordschleife, giving a lap of 26 kilometers, or in old money, 16 miles. The massive crowd is out around the Green Hell, where they camp all week in their tens of thousands. For them, this is as much a social occasion as a motor race. The top 10 down into the Dunlop hairpin, the blue-green Nissan of Roland Ash dropping back a little already. It has twin turbos, but with 4-wheel drive, the Falcon team is praying for rain. There's little chance of that this weekend. Alzen, Luhr, Zakowski being pushed by Müller, Stritchek, then the 2 Audis, as slows. Godzilla passes the factory BMW, then the rest of the field swamps Stuckey, who's reporting a gearbox problem. This is a disaster for the BMW factory. Out into the country, and our helicam picks up the race leaders after the Flugplatz. It's first the Viper, and the other is the Manti Porsche. and Stuck is out of his car, which is still back on the Grand Prix circuit. The 42 cars towed back to the pits, where the team discovers that dry ice used to stop the gearbox overheating on the slow formation lap has frozen, then burst the oil pipes. Meanwhile, Alson races down Dottinger-Ho, still on the first lap, chased by the Zakspeed Viper, the first of the Mount Opals, the Manti Porsche, and then the second Opel. A few lengths behind are the factory Audi TTRs. Then the first are the privateer BMWs. But Jörg Müller's factory car has stopped out on the Nordschleife with the same problem as Stuck's. The Audis race side by side into Tiergarten, fighting for 5th place on the opening lap of a 24-hour race. On board with Wendlinger, who's just been passed by Ekstrom as they complete lap 1. Another 3 laps before Stuck can rejoin, the oil pipes now replaced. Another stop for further work will drop the car 52 minutes behind the leaders. BMW Motorsport Chief Mario Tyson tells us what went wrong.
Ja, also das Schnitzer-Team hat schon mal eine super
Well, the
Arbeit
Schnitzer team's done an unbelievable job with the gearbox, and now we're going to put on a show for the fans, he says. Hopefully we can give it our all and make it back into the top 10. Out some pits towards the end of the first hour, still leading, and we'll hand over the Porsche to Bartels. Well, that puts the Viper and the number 5 Opel of Reuter first and second, although they're now fighting traffic as well as each other.
Join us after the break for the rest of the action. Welcome back to the German forests, where we rejoin it as Karl Wendlinger chases down 7th place.
On board with Wendlinger as they plunge down towards the Flugplatz, the infamous flying place, where both cars have their rear wheels off the ground. This is how bumpy the old track can get, under snow for 3 months of the year. Pit stops then for new leader Lechner. But first the Vipers called in for a technical check, which all cars have to do once during the race. Strict check brings in the number 8 Opel, where Christian Menzel is waiting to take over. Zukowski is cleared by the technical crew. The technical problems are looming for last year's winner, as the car is running that 120-litre oversized fuel tank. Waiting to take it over is Pedro Lamy, who won the V8 Star race to Zakspeed on the Nürburgring GP track this morning. Well, the Chrysler Viper has been one of the 24-hour racing's most successful cars, with 3 Le Mans class victories, 3 outright Nürburgring wins, 2 outright Spa wins, and best of all, an outright Daytona 24 Hours win. Can Zakspeed make it 3 Green Hell victories in a row? Well, Menzel rejoins, now ahead of the Viper on track, but it too will be called in for a tech check later in the race. For the moment, however, Wendlinger's DTM Audi is leading, heading into the famous carousel. the Audi stops, this car, no, not the Fiat, the number 5 Opel of Reuter, Scheider, Tiemann and Stricek will be leading. Opel's gamble to play its DTM card seems to be paying off. As the race approaches the 4-hour mark, it's in control. Racing through the graffitied Hatzenbach corners, the number 42 factory BMW is desperately trying to make up time. Stuck, Seid and Nielsen pushing hard. The sister car of Muller's eventually recovered from the Nordschleife, but was even further behind after repairs to its gearbox. As predicted, the twin-turbo Manti Porsche is enormously fast in a straight line, but the Audi TTRs are faster on the Nordschleife. Number 8 car Wendlinger & Co. has no trouble taking second place from Jürgen Alpsen. But just look what you can do with 700 brake horsepower, even in traffic. Of the standings after 4 hours of racing showed DTM cars first, second and third. Opel, Audi, Opel. Zaxbyt Viper in fourth and the Recaro Porsche in fifth place, just ahead of the Alpsen Porsche. Further down, the Manti Porsche, BMW, the Nissan, the Gross Porsche, and Audi of Abt Biele and Ekstrom Wendlinger delayed down in 12th place. Well, Stricek, like Audi's Wendlinger, is entered in both team cars, by regulations in case he needs to change. The leading number 5 Opel is at the moment in Reuter's hands. Early evening, and there's drama out at Tiergarten as the Porsche's tire explodes, taking out Zimmermann's classic Opel Manta. The replay shows the violence of this crash, but both drivers walk away. There's more problems for the 12th place number 7 Audi, which has been in the pits for 25 minutes with a power steering failure. And it's followed in by the Alpsen Porsche, which has a gearbox problem, and the team will have to replace it. Well, the front end shows evidence of a collision with another Porsche, which put it into the guardrails, putting the drivetrain out of line. It may have been the fastest car on the track, but it's not moving, it's losing valuable time. Uwe Alpsen looks fed up with the whole thing. On board with Chris Nissen in the second place Audi, chasing Volker Stricek, who's taken over from Reuter. This is the battle for the lead in the Nürburgring 24 hours after 6 hours of racing. Into the bank carousel, Nissen has to play cat and mouse with the traffic. The cat's a Puma. But Stricek will have seen his sister car in the barriers at Metzgelfeld after Jerome Blekemolen tangled with a Renault Clio. The DTM car's race is finished after 33 laps. Here's what happened. Blekemolen passes the Renault at 250 kilometers an hour, but the Clio, driven by Bugs Bunny, strange but true, moves over on him and spins out the Opel. The Rabbit survives as Peter Dumbreck unloads.
It's just one of the things racing on this circuit with so many different types of cars. You approach these cars at double the speed and suddenly they do something unexpected and they just caught Giron out and he's in the wall. 2 wheels are gone from the car and I think our car is now finished. So yeah, I feel a little bit sorry for him and for the team because we've all worked very hard for this.
7 hours into the race, Godzilla's moved up into 4th place overall with Ash, Kinoshita, Tanaka and Nordschleife expert Dirk Scheusman on board the 4-wheel drive twin-turbo GTR. Last year, this glorious example of 1990's techno overkill finished 5th after persistent overheating. Now it's running one place better. BMW's return to the 24 hours is getting no better. The Stutt car stalls and has to be pushed back into the race, still outside the top 10. Still Opel leads as Audi and Dusk fall on the Eiffel. Again, the speed differential is highlighted as leader Stritchek laps an aging Clio. Passing the packed campsites as the smoke from 1,000 barbecues drifts across the track. The setting sun now poses more problems. So many rises and falls, grounds and troughs on this scenic circuit, a driver can suddenly find himself staring straight into it. On board the second-placed Audi, which has caught the Opel in traffic as they plunge past traffic down for the Adenauer Forest. Bursting out of the forest is the Zack-Speed Viper, now 3rd after the Opel's demise. On board Godzilla, now up to 4th overall as Ash follows a line of cars past yet another wreck. The race has already lost 20 cars to crashes, another 10 to mechanical failure. Viper and Nissan are fighting for position, running together in the gloom, carving through the slower traffic along Dottinger-Ho, the fastest part of the circuit. Then there's a setback for the lead Audi. Abt has a front tyre failure at Flansgarten. Fortunately towards the end of a lap, not at the beginning. The tyre comes off the rim and he has to crawl the TTR back to the pits. Careful to avoid further damage. Makes the pits, and Chris Nissen will take over after a quick check. He'll rejoin still in 1st place, with the surviving Opel, Viper and Nissan. The second of the factory BMW M3 GTRs makes a routine stop, but it's way down the order in 40th place after its first lap gearbox failure. This and its sister 42 car should have set the pace in this year's 24 hours, but Lady Luck has not been on their side. Lady driver, Claudia Hürtgen, 2002 German DTC vice champion, takes the car back out.
We'll take a pit stop there too. Join us after the break for lots more action.
Car still running ahead into the dark. Also delayed after electrical problems is the number 12 Manti Porsche Turbo of Lure Collard and this year's outright Daytona 24 Hours in a Timo Bernhardt. The factory-assisted car is 35th. Manti tells us the night air is good for us and our turbo engine can run a little cooler, which gives us more performance. And we'll try to make use of this by pushing hard throughout the night. At 8 hours, the top three all on the same lap. DTM Audi, DTM Opel and the Zack-Speed Viper, winner the last 2 years. Nissan Skyline in 4th, Gross Porsche in 5th. The Privateer Porsche in 6th. The rest of the field behind Privateers. Midnight. And everything's looking good for the yellow Zach Speed Viper team, running strongly in 3rd place behind the number 8 Audi and the number 5 Opel. But still tiredness pervades the pit lane. Crew members and drivers trying to snatch sleep where and when they can. Then comes a bombshell. Race stewards order a 5-lap stop penalty for the Viper because of the fuel tank regulations. They're reminded their 120-litre tank is not legal under championship regulations, and it should be only 90 litres. Despite the team protesting that they're a Dodge, not a Chrysler this year, the penalty has to be taken. 5 laps is more than 45 minutes, as Zach Speed's Andres Heinke explains. We're competing in the long-distance championship at the Dodge Viper, which allows us a 120-litre tank. For the first stops, we put over 100 litres in each time, which is permitted by the rules, but they told us put only 90 litres in, and that gave us problems. That meant stopping more often. We're protesting against it. Well, the penalty drops the car from 3rd to 9th place, giving up its hard-fought position to the Falcon Nissan Skyline, which finds itself 3rd despite having only 4th, 5th and 6th gears left. Roland Ash.
Dass wir jetzt so früh schon an
For
dritter
us to
Stelle
find
sind, haben wir
ourselves in
eigentlich
3rd
nicht
place so
gerechnet.
soon is a real surprise. We never imagined that. Well, ahead of Godzilla is a real nail-biter as the Abt Audi TTR and Phoenix Opel Astra V8 Coupe battle round the Nordschleife in the dark. The gap never more than 2 seconds. Both DTM cars are effectively down to one car. One Opel crashed out, while the number 7 Audi suffered steering and brake problems after that front tyre blowout and is running 40th. The race could yet be won in the pit stop, so the full might of Ingolstadt is behind Carl Bendinger, Martin Tomczyk, Chris Nissen and Marco Werner, and that of Russelheim between Manuel Reuter, Timo Scheider, Marcel Tiemann and Volker Stritschek. Audi boss Hans-Jürgen Abt is delighted.
Wir sind am ersten Platz.
Well, now we're in 1st place. The team's doing a great job and we're really in the thick of it. The other car had some little problems which became major problems, but it's still running out there.
Timo
Scheider tells us there's a long way to go still. I think it's a bit premature to be predicting a result. He said we'll be happy if it goes on like this, and if we can get through the night, I think we can finish in the top 3. Well, down in the BMW pits, things have gone from bad to worse. Sliders crashed into 2 stationary cars after driving back from 30th to 5th place in the night. Charlie Lamb's face tells it all. The car is finished. Dawn break, 16 hours into the 24, and little has changed for the top 5 during the night, except for the Viper's penalty. It's climbed back up to 4th place. Now up to 6th is the Manti Porsche of Luhr, Collard and Bernhardt, after its electrical problems. There in 12th place is the 2nd factory BMW, which has steadily come back through the field after its frozen gearbox disaster. So with 8 hours still to run, perhaps Munich can salvage something yet. The leading Audi is pulling away from the Opel. Now the sun has risen, but there's still only a few seconds between them. Nobody expected DTM sprint cars to survive the night, let alone be leading the Enduro regulars. The Seoul factory Opel is as strong as ever, like its rivals, still regularly turning in 9-minute 5-second laps. After 100 tours of the world's longest race circuit. Both have kept mechanical problems at bay and just as importantly kept clear of the traffic. lead driver Manuel Reuter knows how to win 24-hour races. He's twice won Le Mans with Mercedes in 1989 and with Jost Porsche in 1996, and was also the International Touring Car Champion in 96. But all he and his teammates can do today is to keep the pressure on Audi, hoping that the TTR will hit problems. Looming out of the Dottinger Ho haze is the Gross Motorsport 996 Porsche of longtime Enduro racer Harold Gross, now running a surprising fifth after a good run through the night. He's the best of the privateers. With the number 7 Audi still struggling. It lost 55 minutes during the night as the brake system was rebuilt after several unscheduled stops. This one is scheduled, however, and Matthias Ekstrom rejoins, but outside the top 30.
Stay with us for the finale of all the action after the break.
Swedish drivers immediately back up to speed, very much at home in his TTR at the Ring. A 2 times DTM winner last year, he also finished 6th for Audi in the 24 hours here. And in comes the race leader, the number 8 Audi, but there's an electronics problem they're reporting. Wendlinger has to sit in the car while the AB team changes the black box.
Wir hatten in unserer Datenaufzeichnung
Hans-Jürgen Ab tells us our data printouts are showing inconsistencies in the electronics, so we checked out several things. We also changed some of the electrics to make sure everything will be okay. Now, it looks fine. And that delays cost Audi the lead, and the BMW still in the wars, this time the 43 car knocked off by a Suzuki Swift, of all things. Opel now leads for the first time since 8 o'clock last night from the number 8 Audi and the Zach Speed Viper, which has worked its way back to 3rd place despite its 5-lap fuel penalty. Reuter, Scheider, Thiemann and Strycek must keep on pushing as the Audi is just 7 minutes behind, the only other car on the lead lap. Four hours to go, and suddenly Marco Werner brings the Audi back into the pits, this time with a gear shift problem. Abt orders a gearbox change, and the race is surely lost. Coming into view is the Mini Cooper S of Sabine Schmitz, a 2 times winner of the Nürburgring 24 hours, still the only woman to have achieved that. Her day job is driving race fans in BMW's 400 brake horsepower M3 race taxi around the Nordschleife. Godzilla gives the lady a wide berth as it passes, and the Nissan lost 20 laps while the engine was changed, but it's running again and will finish 53rd. Sabine and crew will finish 92nd, best of the 5 minis running. Even the privateer BMW teams are not immune to problems this year. Michael Gehring has had a wheel center pull out and is limping back to the pits. The car will drop from 10th to 14th. The race leader hurries along Dottinger Ho, the fastest part of the circuit, where the 460 brake horsepower DTM Opel can hit almost 300 kilometers an hour. Flags are flying, the slower cars ahead as Audi's Werner keeps up the pressure, flying over the Flugplatz in 2nd place. He's rejoined just in front of the Zach Speed Viper, so this is for position after 21 hours. The number 7 Audi, running 29th, has a look to see if it can help its sister car. now 1:45 p.m. and BMW's race comes to an end. Jörg Müller's had the power steering fail and put the car heavily into the barriers. This will be the race's last retirement, finally putting Munich out of its misery. But the drama's not over yet. The race stewards have another surprise ready for the Zakspeed team. A further 45-minute stop-go penalty is awarded against the Viper after the teams continued to ignore official warnings that no more than 90 litres could be taken on board at each stop. Several times it exceeded 100 litres, so the additional penalty is ordered. That will ensure that the number 8 Audi is still battling for second place with the Viper, the runner-up position, provided it finishes. And that it finishes ahead of this car. The number 12 Manti Porsche of Lucas Luhr, Manu Collard and Timo Bernhardt, which is now running for the final podium position. This is the car which dropped outside the top 150 yesterday afternoon with electrical problems, but has made the biggest comeback of the race. So DTM racer Timo Scheider and the Opel now looking at the biggest victory of his career.
Ja, momentan ist ein bisschen Gänsehautstimmung.
All right, now the atmosphere is really exciting, he tells us. My last shift was fine. We're now backing off a lot. We've got a comfortable 5-lap lead, and we no longer need to attack. But for me, all of us, it's hard to go slower. But everything in the car is fine, so I hope we get through these last 45 minutes. Schmudo and the biodiesel New Beetle are crawling back to the pits, out of everything. A handful of grass in the tank might help. But he does make it to finish 56 of the 210 starters. Well, nobody wants to do another lap once the checkered flag has been taken, so the fans prepare to salute the 155 finishers of this 31st Nürburgring 24 hours. And there's a lot of Opel owners out there. It's been an incredibly reliable run, just one alternator change at 4 a.m. after the car slid into the gravel. Well, Opel Sports Chief Volker Stritschek has been an endurance racing regular on his weekends off from running the DTM programme, so he'll have double reason to celebrate tonight. Perhaps we'll see Mercedes Chief Norbert Haug racing a CLK here next year. And Marcel Thiemann nervously watches the TV monitors as the Opel bursts out of the forest for the last time, heading for the long Dottinger-Ho Straight. Harold Gross and his teammates Peter Scharmack, Werner Fischer and Thomas Reiser will finish 4th, despite evidence of brushes of other cars. It's an outstanding result for the privateer team up against the factory entries. The Opel exits Dottinger-Ho as everybody lines up behind, unwilling to do yet another 26 kilometres. Through Tiergarten and Manuel Reuter on board, Timo Scheider, Marcel Thiemann and Volker Stritschek are about to take an historic win. It's a mass finish after 24 hours of hard racing. The world's toughest track. Tough on cars, drivers, pit crews and the fans alike. Stritschek is there on the track with the flag to greet Reuter home. 5 laps behind, but secure in second is the DTM Audi of Carl Wendlinger, Christian Abt, Chris Nissen and Marco Werner. Lucky to lose its gearbox with 4 hours still to go, but still runner-up. So the checkered flag is taken. Opel wins the Nürburgring 24 hours. Confirmation of the results. 2 DTM cars heading the field, DTM Opel and DTM Audi. With the Manti Porsche third, the Gross Porsche in fourth. Zach Speed drops to fifth after its 2 crippling penalties, but has said it is to appeal against them. We talk to winner Timo Scheider.
Einfach geil, also sehr, sehr
simply great,
Situation und ich freue mich
very emotional, he says, and I'm really happy for all of us and for Opel, and that we finally made a milestone. That from the very first start by DTM cars on the Nordschleife. It's been like a dream. The other 145 finishes in all shapes, sizes and colours follow the Opel home. Stritchek can't believe it either. I can't believe it. It's the first time I've experienced something like this in my dual role as a team tree and as a driver. It's the greatest thing I've ever done to win this race. And to give Opel the win in front of almost 200,000 spectators is really unique. Can't put it into words. It's something you'd have to experience for yourself. So Opel carries the day, joining the long list of winners of this amazing race, flanked by the Audi boys and by the third pace Manti Porsche crew. And as the winning Opel Astra V8 lays down the rubber, a few facts and figures. It completed 143 laps at an average speed of 154 kilometers an hour, covering 3,710 kilometers in 24 hours. Fastest lap went to the unlucky Zach Speed Opel at 9 minutes 02 seconds, only 2 seconds off pole time. Some feat on this brutal circuit in race trim. Now that a DTM sprint car has pulled off one of Europe's classic 24-hour races, who knows what next year might bring.